Yeah, okay, great. So what I have here is a pastel thing that I'm trying to finish up prior to my wife's birthday. It's a physical version of this painting that I did on my iPad a long, long time ago. And it was very, I don't know what the word to describe it is, but as you can see, this isn't like a fine, detailed, photorealistic painting. And well, I mean, it's pastels, so I mean, I guess some people wouldn't call it a painting, but I call it a painting when I work with pastels just because it seems a lot more like painting to me than drawing. It's very difficult for me to get fine details. There might be, or I'm sure there are people who are really gifted when it comes to that, or if not gifted, have done many, many more of these than I have, so they have a knack. They've trained themselves and figured out how to do what they need to do in order to get it to work the way they want for fine details. But for me, I am doing it in this way. All right, so the other one was a lot smaller. I made this one, I printed it as a 5x7. It could have been probably printed as large as I wanted, but I wanted to do a physical one because the frame the painting was based on fell off the wall and broke, and it was a cheap frame, and rather than try to repair it or one, I don't really think it was repairable, and then the other thing is I didn't want to just print out the same thing. I mean, it's been a long time since that went up. This presented an opportunity to revisit this drawing that I did a long time ago, and see if we couldn't make it prettier in some way, or different enough to be happy with. All right, so this is kind of like a roughly dress that she had. Probably blend this one quite a bit because I want it to have almost all soft edges if possible. The background is maybe gonna be, so if you could see the hand. This photo this is based on was taken when we were on vacation in Michigan in the summer. It was very, very sunny that day. We were on a kind of a rooftop, and back in the background, this is, or well, I mean, it's not relevant. My daughter was playing like a giant Connect 4 that they had up there back behind, and then I think it was our food had arrived, and so she was running over to eat with us. And I just happened to, well, I guess now I think about it, I wasn't sitting down, I was over where she was, just trying to take some pictures of her while she was over there playing. happened to get this one. I really liked it. And the photograph is, or the photo's fine, but I actually prefer this to the photo because I think it does a better job of representing what I feel like I actually saw that day. And the shadow over here, I mean, I don't know how much it really matters. I mean, I'm adding a cast shadow here, but there's not even any real ground that she's on, technically. So, not sure that I should even have done that, but you know, I think maybe it does a decent job of planting her a little more firmly in space than if there was no shadow and it was just her sort of floating here. So it's nice orange red. I wonder if I can. I'm slightly hesitant to add like a blue down here to create a ground plane. And it's, I think, sort of would have to do this angle maybe, and then come through, but I don't want it to be the same blue as that. To get some of this purple or gray. Could always look at the photo, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, maybe I'll just start blending here and see if I soften these edges, make it so that this is less scumbly, then that could make me feel a little better about the way it's turning out. Using multiple fingers to blend, so the one I used my index finger for that shadowy part, just to avoid or I used my index finger for that, and then I'm using my middle finger for this other portion because I want to make sure that I don't get the colors mix up the colors too much. Excuse me. There's a little bit of dirty pastel up there. That's sort of what I'm trying to avoid. All right. Some people blend these with brushes. I saw that long time ago. A tutorial video that was on YouTube. I didn't have any hard bristle, stiff bristle brushes at the time because I was mostly working with watercolors. I can't remember why I got the pastels, to be honest. There had to be some reason. Probably because I was just bouncing from medium to medium in search of the one that would be easy, when what I really should have been doing and what I would recommend to anybody who's starting out is just focusing on what I had and then learning sort of the fundamental, or not sort of the fundamental, but the fundamental ideas about how to make shapes represent things and all of that business. But I do think there's a pretty common human desire to just look for an easy answer, and that is not something I am immune to, 'cause I am human after all. But if you can, if somebody gives you the advice to just stick with it instead of just going from, like, oh, watercolor is hard, so I'm going to do acrylic. Oh, acrylic dries too fast, I'm going to do oil. Oh, oil's too complicated, I'm going to do pastels. Oh, pastels, I can't draw right, I'm going to do charcoal drawings. Like, if you don't just like, you absolutely should explore all those different things, because I think each of them has its own they all have their own things that make them wonderful. But don't think that just like because you didn't paint what you believe to be a masterpiece the first time you used a specific medium, that you should give it up because you're just supposed to be naturally fantastic at something right away, or else you just shouldn't do it at all, because that's not really how any of this works. I do think that, natural ability, it is a thing, but I also think that much of what we can become great at, or much of what people end up becoming great at, are things that maybe they weren't just super gifted right off the bat and they had to work hard at. It's not always true, I'm sure, but it is true sometimes. So, and certainly it won't be true if you'll never, if you just give up, obviously you won't be good, because you won't even be doing it. So, give yourself a chance to succeed. That's what I tell my kids, that's what I tell myself. You don't want to say no for other people. I can't remember where I heard that somewhere, read it in a book or something. All right, I'm gonna step back for a second and take a look at this. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe soften up some of the like her hat and that flower. I have like a blue green that I did this flower in, which is kind of true to the actual flower. I'm not sure it was the right choice for the painting, but it is what it is. So I'm not gonna redo the whole thing because of that choice. I think maybe the white here is gonna soften this in a way that works better than what I was doing with my finger. I hope. I'll try and smooth that out a bit. Okay. Yeah. I'm using oil pastels in case anybody wanted to know, and they're either from Hobby Lobby or Michaels, just the Michaels or Hobby Lobby brand. I think I have actually one set of each, and they are, you know, probably made in the same factory, using the same stuff. That might not be true, so don't hold me to that. If you are either Michael or Mr. Hobby Lobby or Mrs. Hobby Lobby, I don't know who owns either of those. If I were super serious about pastels, I probably would look on Dick Blick for artist grade stuff. These are, I believe, student grade, which matters in my experience. The quality of the pigment and everything it can absolutely change the results. It doesn't always matter that much. I mean, so for what I'm doing here, this is supposed to look a little bit messy. This is the word I'll use to describe it. So it's kind of supposed to be, what's the word, impressionistic, I guess? You know, not representative realism necessarily. And as a result, I can get away with probably not worrying too much if it's it's the highest quality. All right, so that does look like it is a little bit, it's blending kind of in the way that I want it to. I want to do it all in the same sort of direction. So her arm's moving forward. And then that means that arm's going back. Okay. Hat. Like that. Sorry, I'm thinking here. Sometimes I gotta think out loud, sometimes I gotta think in my head. And yeah, I think we're actually good here. So there's not really any way that I'm going to be able to take a pastel that is, and when I say me, I mean me. There might be someone who's capable of doing this. So, you know, don't think that it's impossible when I say there's no way I. It just means there's no way I can. Not that there's no way that anyone can. But in order to get the nose in here, which to me, if I'm far enough back, there is enough of an impression of a cast shadow from a nostril or something there that it looks like there's a nose. Okay, so like if you look at manga or any comic books or any of that stuff, like if you see a character's face, a lot of the time the nose is just like 2 dots or a dot or, you know, a line in a spot, and it looks like a nose, you know, not like a it doesn't look like a fully photorealist nose, but you look at it and you see that it's like a symbol that represents a nose. Now that shape that I have there on this girl's face looks enough like a nose, especially from standing back a little bit, that it's doing the job that I needed to do. You know, these shoes, they look enough like shoes to me that it's good. This looks enough like a kneecap to me that it's good. And then we got a little bit of a shadow in here. Like this to me looks enough like a knee that's beneath the overhang of this skirt. Or I guess that's a dress because it's all one piece, right? And then, you know, this in here, you know, like that's supposed to, or not, you know, this right here is supposed to be her hair. And it doesn't look like there's a bunch of strands of hair, but it definitely looks like there's something darker back there. And having seen somebody wearing a hat before, walking in an environment where it's bright and the hat is covering their head, hair often is just included in the shadow that's cast by the hat. This hand, I've actually just like left some of the pencil lines in there, and they're doing a good enough job of creating those little shadows between the fingers. This pastel line is, I don't know how hard it is to see on camera, but it's looking like an index finger that's bending a little bit, and then the rest of the hand back there. If we want to pretend that she's in motion, because that's kind of what we have to do. I took the photo and it was one quick, millisecond in time while she was walking towards me, or walking towards the table where the food was. Well, this sort of, the blending here, where you see actual sort of like lines of movement, is what I would use to describe this. It's kind of like if you look at a cartoon and you see something is shaking and you just draw, like there's a ball and it's wobbling. You can just draw a couple squiggly lines sort of around it. Sorry, I'm not drawing out an example right now to show you, but that can work too. There was a painting I saw, the Chicago Art Museum. I can't even remember what it's called, the museum's called right now, but it was in the modern art wing, and or section, whatever, of I think it was like 2 dogs chasing each other is what it was called. It was very much in that kind of style where it was not photorealistic at all. It just looked like a couple of mouths and a bunch of blurs moving in a swirling motion towards one another. So there was a lot of energy in that painting. And I think that, you know, that artist who did that with, I'm pretty sure it was oil, has a lot more mastery over that style than I do. You know, I'm just sort of like getting my feet wet with that sort of stuff, and especially with the pastels. That's not, you know, the pastels are not my my expert area, or my area of expertise. But yeah, I mean, I think that this turned out pretty well. If I were to do things differently, not that anyone asks, but part of the reason I do these things is so that I can evaluate what I've done and determine what I would do better the next time. I would have added a ground plane, so that it was clear she was walking on a flat surface. I guess, yeah, I don't know that it matters. So anyway, done with this for today. I'm probably done with this period. So hope we can get this framed and get it back up on the wall where it was supposed to be. I don't know what I call this. Girl in motion. Sure. So yeah, done with this pastel thing. Probably done with pastels for a while. And I'll get back at it. I don't know, maybe do some more monsters and probably start doing some more pencil stuff. I got Beowulf work to do, and I need to start talking to my buddy about the A Sick Child graphic novel that we're working on, so I've got more stuff to do with it for that as well. I hope everyone's having a great Friday, and look forward to doing some more of this in the future. Take care.